Small Blue Diamond. She had hidden her identity for 9 months, until the night a poor single dad saved her life. Small Blue Diamond, he thought he was helping a stranded pregnant woman, unaware she was the very judge who could destroy or save his future. Small Blue Diamond, one stormy night. One woman in labor. One man with everything to lose. Rain hammered against the deserted road as Daniel Kahn tightened his coat and hurried toward the broken-down van ahead. He had just finished a late shift at the auto repair shop and was exhausted, but he couldn't ignore the silhouette of a woman hunched beside the vehicle, clutching her swollen belly. He wasn't the kind of man who could walk away from someone in trouble. Not after everything life had thrown at him. Not after his 5 kids had learned to depend on him for everything. "Ma'am? Are you okay?" he called out, raising his voice over the storm. The woman looked up slowly, her face pale, drenched in rain, strands of hair sticking to her cheeks. Her eyes were filled with a mix of fear and determination. She tried to speak, but a sharp cry escaped instead. Her hand flew to her belly. Daniel froze. He had seen this before, 5 times. This wasn't discomfort. This was labor. Okay, breathe, he said gently, stepping closer. "You're going into labor, aren't you?" She nodded, teeth clenched as another contraction hit. Daniel swallowed hard. He didn't know who she was. He didn't know where she came from. All he knew was that she needed help now. "Sit down in the van," he said, his voice steady despite the panic rising inside him. "I'll call an ambulance." "Please, no hospital yet," she gasped suddenly, grabbing his wrist. Her grip was surprisingly strong. "Just help me get somewhere safe." He frowned. "You're in labor. You need medical attention." "I know," she whispered, her lips trembling. "But I can't go to a hospital alone. Not tonight. Please, just help me." Something in her voice, the desperation, the fear, hit him deep in the chest. He didn't know her story, but he knew what fear felt like. He nodded. "My truck is right behind us. I'll get you to safety." She let out a shaky breath of relief. He helped her into his old pickup, shielding her from the rain. As he buckled her in, she watched him with eyes that seemed to carry 1,000 unspoken secrets. "What's your name?" he asked as he jogged around to the driver's side. "Aaliyah," she whispered. "Aaliyah Rahim." Her voice was elegant, educated, almost too refined for someone stranded alone in the middle of nowhere. But Daniel didn't question it. People came from all walks of life. Trouble didn't discriminate. He started the truck, heat blasting toward her. "I'm taking you to my house," he told her. "It's 5 minutes from here. The roads to the hospital are flooded, and you won't make it that far safely." She nodded, clutching her stomach as another contraction rippled through her. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't expect tonight to happen like this." "Babies don't send warnings," Daniel said with a gentle smile. "Believe me, mine certainly didn't." A flicker of surprise softened her features. "You have children?" "5," he replied. Her eyes widened. But before she could respond, she winced again, voice breaking. "It hurts." "I know," he said softly. "You're going to be okay." As he drove, his mind drifted back to the court order he was fighting, the custody case hanging over his head, the judge whose ruling next month would decide whether he kept his children or lost them forever. The judge who had a reputation for being strict, merciless, unforgiving. The same judge whose name he didn't know. The same judge who unknowingly sat just inches from him. Aaliyah Rahim. But he had no idea. To him, she was simply a woman in need. When they reached his small, worn-down home, he lifted her out of the truck carefully. His 5 kids rushed to the door, their little faces filled with shock when they saw the stranger in their father's arms. "Kids, step back," Daniel said calmly. "This lady needs help." Aaliyah opened her eyes weakly, glancing at the children, boys and girls aged between 3 and 12, standing barefoot in pajamas, watching the storm and their father with worried eyes. Her breath trembled. You're raising them alone?" she asked faintly. "Yes," he replied, carrying her inside. "Been doing it since their mother left." Her eyes softened with something he couldn't recognize. Was it guilt? Pain? Recognition? But before she could speak, another wave of pain hit, and she gasped. Daniel tightened his grip. Hang on. You're safe now. She clung to him, her voice barely a whisper. You don't know what danger you've brought into your home, Daniel. He paused. But before he could ask what she meant, her body tensed again, and she cried out in pain. And, at that exact moment, lightning flashed across the sky, illuminating her face. For the first time, Daniel saw the truth behind her eyes. Not just fear, but power, authority, and a secret big enough to shatter his entire life. Because the woman he had just rescued was the judge who held his fate. Small Orange Diamond, he opened his home to a stranger, unaware she held the power to take his children away. Small Orange Diamond, she tried to hide her identity, but his kindness made her guilt unbearable. Small Orange Diamond, one stormy night. Two lives collided. Truth was about to break everything. Section 2. The Secret Inside the Storm. The moment Daniel carried Aaliyah into the small living room, warmth replaced the cold dampness of the storm. The fire he kept burning for the kids threw soft orange light across the room, illuminating the cracked walls, the second-hand furniture, and 5 pairs of anxious eyes. All right, he murmured gently, lowering Aaliyah onto the old sofa. Deep breaths. Kids, get the towels and blankets. His eldest daughter, Miriam, darted into action, grabbing towels from the hallway cabinet. The twins brought warm blankets, while the youngest hovered close, sucking his thumb and staring at the woman as if she were a fallen angel from the sky. Aaliyah blinked up at them through the haze of pain. So many, she whispered. So young. Daniel managed a tired smile. They're a handful, but they're my world. Her gaze softened. There was something in her eyes he couldn't read. Not fear, not pain, regret. Deep, soul-cutting regret. Why were you alone out there? He asked as he gently dried her hair with a towel. No family with you? Husband? Someone who could help. Her lips pressed together. No one. He paused, sensing more behind her answer. I'm better off alone, she whispered. Before he could ask more, she inhaled sharply, clutching her belly. The contraction was stronger than the last. Okay, Daniel said, instantly shifting into the calm, steady mode he learned from raising 5 kids alone. Miriam. Warm water and clean cloths. Boys, bring pillows. The children scrambled with purpose. They trusted him. They always had. Even when the world didn't. Especially when the world didn't. As he knelt beside Aaliyah again, she watched the kids moving around with surprising order and discipline. They're good kids, she breathed through the pain. They try, Daniel chuckled. Sometimes too hard. She looked confused. How can children try too hard? He hesitated, then shrugged lightly. They know I'm doing this alone, he said softly. So they try to make my load lighter. They act grown-up, even when they shouldn't have to. Her hand tightened around the blanket. You shouldn't have to do this alone either, she whispered. He met her eyes. That's life, he replied quietly. People leave. People disappoint. But these kids? They're worth everything. Aaliyah swallowed hard. If only he knew. If only he knew who she was. If only he knew what decision she was supposed to give next month. If only he knew that on her desk sat a stack of reports. Reports that painted him as unstable. Reports filed by people who had never met him. Reports that recommended removing his children from his care. Her chest tightened, not from the contraction this time, but from guilt. She blinked away tears. This man wasn't unstable. He wasn't negligent. He wasn't unfit. He was the kind of father most children prayed for. Daniel, she whispered shakily, wanting to say something, anything, before the lie grew too big. But before she could form the words, another contraction ripped through her, stronger, sharper. She cried out, squeezing his hand so tightly he felt his bones grind. Hey, look at me, he said, voice steady though his heart raced. You're doing great. Just breathe. That's easy for you to say, she gasped. He laughed softly. You sound like my ex-wife. She said the same thing. Then she asked for ice chips and threw them at me. Aaliyah actually managed a breathless laugh between the pain. And that small laugh, tiny, fragile, precious, made guilt slice through her again. She didn't deserve his kindness. Not after what she had signed. Not after the ruling she was supposed to deliver. She couldn't hold her silence any longer. "Daniel," she whispered suddenly, gripping his sleeve while her eyes filled. "There's something I need to tell you." But the words never came. Another contraction struck, violent and sudden. And this time, her water broke. Her cry echoed through the house, and Daniel's eyes widened. "It's time," he said urgently. "The baby's coming." The kids gasped. Miriam immediately ran for more towels. The twins shouted over each other. The youngest clung to Daniel's leg. "Everyone calm down," he said, raising his voice. His tone alone brought instant silence. He turned back to Aaliyah, wiping her forehead gently. "You're going to be okay. I've done this before. Well, I didn't deliver the babies myself, but I was there for all of them." She grabbed his hand, desperation etched in every line of her face. "Daniel, there's something important." "You can tell me after," he said gently. "Right now you need to focus on breathing." "No," she cried, voice breaking. "You don't understand. But then she screamed again as the next contraction came fierce and fast. Daniel held her hand firmly. "It's okay," he murmured. "You're safe. I won't let anything happen to you." She stared at him through tears, seeing a man who didn't know he was comforting the very person who might take his children away. "You don't know who I am," she whispered weakly. "No," he said, brushing her hair aside, "but that doesn't matter." Yes, it did. To her, it mattered more than anything, because the truth she carried could shatter his entire world. And tonight, she was running out of time to tell him. She was in labor. He was fighting for her life. Neither knew the truth was seconds from exploding. Small Blue Diamond, one push could bring a new life into the world and destroy the man holding her hand. Small Blue Diamond, a judge, hiding her identity. A father hiding his fear. The storm outside was nothing compared to what was coming. The storm outside roared like a wild beast as Daniel knelt beside the sofa, his heartbeat thundering in his ears. Aaliyah's contractions were coming faster, far faster than he expected. She was trembling, sweating, her breath sharp and uneven. "Daniel, it's too soon," she choked out. "You're okay," he said firmly, wiping her forehead with a warm cloth. "Babies come when they want to." No, you don't understand." Her voice cracked as fear flickered in her eyes. "This isn't just any baby." He paused. But before he could question her, Aaliyah doubled over as another contraction surged through her. Her scream shook his bones. He'd been through childbirth 5 times. He'd seen pain, panic, tears, fear, but this was different. This was a woman carrying more than a baby. She was carrying a secret. "All right," he said, forcing his own nerves down. "Miriam, take the kids to my room. Stay there unless I call you." The children hesitated, watching Aaliyah with big, frightened eyes. But they obeyed, running quietly down the hall. Now it was just him and her. Aaliyah gripped the edge of the blanket, knuckles white. "Daniel, please listen." "You can tell me everything after," he said, positioning pillows behind her back. "Right now the baby is coming." "No," she cried, tears slipping down her cheeks. "I don't have after. Not with you." He froze. What did that even mean? But she couldn't speak, because pain crashed over her again. Her body arched, and she cried out, shaking. "I've got you," Daniel said, sliding closer, offering his arm for her to grip. "You're not alone." She grabbed him so tightly her nails dug into his skin. "I shouldn't be here," she sobbed. "Not in your house, not with your children." His voice softened. "You needed help. That's enough reason." "No, it's not," she whispered. "Not tonight." Lightning flashed through the windows, illuminating her face, wet with rain, sweat, and tears. She looked like a woman drowning under more than labor. "Aaliyah," he said gently, "what are you afraid of?" Her lips trembled. "Of you hating me." Another contraction hit, cutting her words short. She cried out, gripping Daniel's hand as if she were holding onto life itself. He steadied her breathing. In through the nose, slow, out through the mouth. She tried. She failed. She screamed again. He didn't flinch. He just held her, steady and unshakable. When the contraction faded, she collapsed back, panting. I can't do this, she whispered. I'm not strong enough. He looked directly at her. Listen to me. You're one of the strongest people I've ever seen. She let out a broken laugh. You don't know me. No, he admitted softly. But I know strength when I see it. Her eyes glistened, and for a moment, she looked at him as if he were the first person to truly see her. But the brief calm shattered with the next contraction, a powerful one. Her scream echoed through the room. It's coming, Daniel said urgently. Aaliyah, listen, you need to push. No, she gasped. Yes, he insisted. You can do this. I'm right here. Tears streamed down her cheeks. I didn't want you to be the one here, she cried. Of all people, not you. He blinked in confusion. Aaliyah, what are you talking about? But she could no longer form words. Only screams, broken by ragged breaths. She pushed. The storm rattled the windows. Her heart pounded. Her secret burned inside her. Daniel stayed at her side, guiding her, steady and sure. One more, he encouraged. You're so close. She pushed again, and her cry tore through the house. And then, a sound rose. Small. Fragile. Miraculous. A baby's cry. Daniel exhaled in relief, blinking hard. It's a girl, he whispered, lifting the tiny, crying newborn with hands that had fixed engines, carried groceries, held children through nightmares, but never delivered a life. He wrapped the baby in a warm towel and placed her gently on Aaliyah's chest. Aaliyah stared at the child with trembling hands and burst into tears. She's perfect, Daniel said softly. But Aaliyah shook her head, as if his words stabbed her. No, she's not, she choked on her own sobs. You don't understand. You don't understand, Daniel. He placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. Hey, she's beautiful. And you're safe. Both of you. No, she whispered, her voice breaking with fear. We're not safe. Daniel frowned. What do you mean? Her fingers tightened around the baby. Daniel, she whispered, eyes filling with dread. My full name isn't Aaliyah Rahim. He felt his breath catch. I'm Judge Aaliyah Rahim. His heart stopped. The judge. His judge. The one who would decide whether his children stayed with him or were taken away forever. The woman he had just saved was the woman who could destroy his entire life. You said. The truth was out and the room froze. Small Orange Diamond, he had saved her life, but she might take his. Small Orange Diamond, a judge's guilt, a father's fear, and a newborn who changed everything. Section 4. The judgment no one expected. For a moment, Daniel couldn't hear the storm outside. Couldn't hear the newborn's soft cries. Couldn't hear his own heartbeat. Her words hung in the air like thunder. I'm Judge Aaliyah Rahim. He stared at her, at the woman who had just given birth in his living room, shivering under blankets, her eyes filled with fear. It didn't make sense. This fragile, trembling woman his judge? The person whose ruling determined the fate of his 5 children? No. Impossible. His jaw tightened. You're lying. Aaliyah flinched. I wouldn't lie about this, Daniel. He stood slowly, his entire body tense. Judge Rahim is strict. Cold. Untouchable. The kind of person who never even looks at the families in the courtroom. You. He gestured at her trembling form. You're not her. She blinked, and tears spilled over. I wish I wasn't, she whispered. Something in her voice cracked him open because he knew that sound. The sound of someone drowning in guilt. He swallowed hard. Why didn't you tell me? I tried, she whispered weakly. But I was terrified. Terrified of what? He asked, his voice sharper than he meant. Of me. No, her voice broke. Terrified of what you would think of me. He looked away. Because he already knew what he thought. She wasn't just a stranger anymore. She was the woman who might take his kids. The woman whose signature could break his family apart. Aaliyah hugged her newborn closer, as if protecting the child from her own truth. I didn't plan to run, she said, voice shaking. I didn't plan to drive alone. Or go into labor early. I was supposed to be at a safe house with my maternity support officer, but everything fell apart tonight. He forced himself to stay calm. And then you ended up on the road where I found you. Yes, she whispered. Daniel stared down at his hands, the same hands that had helped bring her baby into the world. The same hands she now looked at with fear, and something else. Daniel, her voice trembled. I know you hate me. I know. Hate you, he cut in, bitterness souring his words. I don't even know what to think of you. Aaliyah let out a broken breath. I never wanted to hurt your family. That's not what the reports say. She stiffened. I didn't write those recommendations. But you were still going to sign them, he said quietly. Weren't you? She closed her eyes. That was all the answer he needed. The room went silent except for the soft whimpers of the newborn. Finally, Aaliyah spoke, barely above a whisper. You have to understand, I make rulings based on the information I'm given. And your file. I know what my file says. His voice cracked. That I'm struggling. That I'm poor. That my house is too small. That the kids sleep in one room. That I work 2 jobs. She didn't deny it. He laughed bitterly. Do you know why I work 2 jobs? So they don't go to bed hungry. Her lip trembled. And the reports, he continued, voice harder than before. The teachers who said my kids lack attention? They say that because I can't afford to take them to every school event. Because I'm trying to keep the lights on. Daniel, she whispered. No, he said, shaking his head. Don't Daniel me. You were going to take them away. From me. From the only parent who stayed. Aaliyah's eyes filled again. I didn't know. I swear, I didn't know you were this man. This father. He ran a hand over his face, overwhelmed. And now, he asked, now that you do know, what difference does it make? You'll go back to the courtroom in a few weeks and follow procedure anyway. Her breath hitched. I can't. He froze. She looked at him, raw, honest, vulnerable. I can't rule the same way after what I've seen tonight, she whispered. After what you did for me. For my baby. After seeing how you run your home with nothing but love and strength. He didn't speak. She continued, voice cracking. You treated me like a human when the world only sees a judge. You helped me when you had every reason to walk away. A tear slid down her cheek. I see your children differently now. I see you differently. Daniel stared at her, confused. What are you saying? Aaliyah shifted the newborn in her arms gently. I'm saying, I don't think you're an unfit father. He swallowed, stunned. And I don't think your children should be taken, she whispered. Not now. Not ever. A silence filled the house, heavy, emotional, breaking something open between them. He sat slowly, exhaustion and relief clashing in his chest. Aaliyah looked up at him, with trembling eyes. But there's something else, she whispered. Something more dangerous than my ruling, something I didn't tell you. Daniel tensed. What? She hesitated, then whispered the truth that made his blood run cold. Someone is looking for me. His breath caught. And they want something, she whispered, hugging her baby to her chest. They want you, Daniel. Here is Section 5 with powerful opening hooks, 800 words. Section 5, opening hooks, 800 words. Small orange diamond, a newborn in his house. A judge on his sofa. And now, danger knocking at his door. Small orange diamond, he saved her life. Now he had to protect her from the people hunting her. Small orange diamond, the truth behind the judge's fear was darker than any court case. Daniel stared at her as if the floor had disappeared beneath him. Someone is looking for me? He repeated slowly. Aaliyah held her baby closer, her arms trembling. Yes, she whispered. And they won't stop until they find me. He stood from the chair, muscles tightening, instincts sharp. Who? Who's coming after you? She took a shaky breath. The father. Daniel blinked. Your husband? She shook her head quickly. No. I'm not married. Then. The father of my baby is a man with power, she said quietly. Dangerous power. He's a politician. And when he found out I was pregnant, he tried to force me to end it. Daniel felt a chill crawl up his spine. Aaliyah swallowed. When I refused, he threatened me. Told me he'd ruin my career. Then, when that didn't work, he tried to have me followed. He wanted to silence me before the baby was born. Daniel's jaw tightened. So you ran? Yes. Her voice cracked. I didn't know where else to go. But I never expected the storm, the pain starting early, or you finding me. He rubbed a hand through his hair, taking it all in. If he's that dangerous, why not call the police? I did, she whispered. They wanted proof. Evidence. They said I had to wait until something actually happened. He muttered a curse under his breath. Typical. Aaliyah looked at him with helpless eyes. Daniel, he will come. He will search. He has people everywhere. If he finds out I had the baby, he'll do anything to take her away. And me? Daniel asked stiffly. She hesitated. Anyone who helps me becomes a threat to him, she whispered. Daniel let that sink in. A powerful man was hunting her. The same woman who held Daniel's fate. The same woman he helped, cared for, protected. The same woman whose baby he had delivered minutes ago. He inhaled deeply. All right, he said at last. Tell me what you need. She looked stunned. Daniel, I'm telling you, a dangerous man is coming after me. You're putting yourself at risk. He crossed his arms. You think I'm scared of someone like him? Her eyes softened. I don't want you hurt. Lady, he said, shaking his head, raising 5 kids alone prepares you for war. She laughed weakly through tears. But their fragile calm shattered with a sudden sound. A car engine outside. Aaliyah's breath caught. No, she whispered, eyes wide. Not this fast, he shouldn't have. Daniel moved instantly, stepping to the window and pulling the curtain aside just a centimeter. A black SUV sat outside his house. Headlights off. Engine running. His heart punched his ribs. That him? Daniel asked. Aaliyah's face went white. Yes. He exhaled, steadying his voice. Okay. Listen carefully. Stay here. Lock the door. Do not open it for anyone but me. Daniel. I said stay, he said firmly but gently. Your baby needs you. She clutched her daughter tighter as Daniel stepped into the hallway. His kids peeked out from his bedroom door, terrified. Dad. Miriam whispered. Who is that outside? Daniel forced a calm smile. Uncle Trouble, he said lightly. Go to the back room. Quiet. Lock the door. Their eyes widened, but they obeyed without question. He waited until they disappeared behind the second door. Then he walked to the front door, each step slower than the last. A hard knock rattled the house. Daniel didn't open it. Daniel Shaw. A smooth, icy voice called from the other side. Daniel froze. They knew his name. The man spoke again. We're looking for a woman. Pregnant. She may have passed by this area. Daniel kept silent. Sir, the voice continued, we have reason to believe she may be inside your home. Open the door. Daniel finally spoke, voice calm, controlled, cold. There's no woman here. A pause. A dangerous one. Then the voice lowered. Mr. Shaw, we know she is. Her car was found half a mile back. We tracked her phone to this road. Don't make this harder. Daniel swallowed once. Then he stepped closer to the door, speaking through the wood. And what exactly do you plan to do? He asked quietly. If she is here? Another silence. Then, we just want the child. Daniel's blood turned to fire. He gripped the doorknob so tightly his knuckles went white. You're not getting a damn thing from this house, he said. The man's tone sharpened. You're making a mistake. No, Daniel growled. You are. The handle turned from the outside. They were trying to force it. Daniel lunged and shoved his full weight against the door. He locked the second bolt, then the top latch. His heart pounded. He backed away and rushed to the living room. Aaliyah looked up, terrified. What's happening? She whispered. Daniel grabbed a blanket, draping it over her and the baby. We don't have time. They're trying to get in. Aaliyah began to tremble. Daniel. He knelt in front of her, holding her shoulders. "Look at me." Her eyes met his. "I'm not letting anyone touch you or your baby." Her breath shook. He stood again, his voice steady, prepared for whatever storm was coming. And outside, the knocking stopped, replaced by the sound of footsteps circling the house. The night turned silent. Too silent. Daniel braced himself for the fight of his life, and for the woman he never expected to protect.